Ask me that question one more time. Ask me that question.
No way, no.
Ask me, am I a 5%er? He said, am I a 5%er? Listen, I'm gonna give you the history. No, real rap. It's not funny. It's not bad. 5%ers are 5% of the people who know the truth and will tell it.
Yeah, I know.
You follow me?
That. Yeah.
So 85% don't know.
95.
85 don't know.
85 don't know.
10% know and won't tell. You see what I'm saying? So 5%.
5 they tell, yeah.
5% will tell it. So that's the question you asked me. Yes, I am a 5%er. Okay, so that's the question. That's what it is, right?
Yeah,
that's
it
was simple, right? That was very simple. So 5% of the people who know it like me and will tell it. 85 of our people don't know.
They know, and
like you just
they won't know it, don't know.
There you go. Like you just said about the people in the States that don't know who they are. So those Moors that was in the state don't know who they are as Moors. So they got expelled out of Spain.
Yeah.
All right. How you feeling today? You all right? Hope you're feeling good. If you ain't feeling good, let's put some positive energy in there, you know what I mean? Let's some love going. Let's get that positive energy flowing. Let's elevate. You feel me? All right, we got a real simple lesson, but it's going to get real. You're going to see. The question of the day, why are we, and you, Moorish American? And I'm saying that specifically to the people that are known today in 2018 as blacks, African Americans, people of color, Negroes, niggas, brown people, etc. Why are we Moorish American? Well, what is that? That's our nationality. And more importantly, why is that our nationality? Well, the answer is coming to you live and direct. Noble Drali is his name. Very important person. If you don't know who it is, look him up. Drewali. Just Google that. He brought a lot of information. One of them is this pamphlet called The Quran Questions for Moorish Americans. It's 101 questions, question, answer, question, answer. Real simple. And in here it says, question 13, what is your nationality? Moorish American. Why are we Moorish Americans? Here's the answer. Very simple. Because we are descendants of Moroccans and born in America. Now, see, when this whole issue about nationality, Drew Ali, us being Moorish Americans, Moors, when this comes up, people try to make it real confusing. You know what I mean? They try to bring a whole bunch of religion and all this and, you know, and masonry and, oh my, the boogeyman and everything into it. He made it real simple. We are Moorish American because we are descendants of Moroccans. That's one. And born in America. All right, I just want to deal with the descendants of Moroccans part. See, because when we call ourselves black or Negro or colored, we don't know who we are. We don't know where we come from. We don't have no link to an actual place. We say, well, we were slaves from somewhere in Africa, but we don't know where. Africa's look at that continent, man. It's a whole continent. Bunch of countries. Where in Africa? Now, see, our nationality, that ties us specifically to a land, history, culture, etc., language. Noble Drali explained to us that we are Moorish Americans because we are descendants of Moroccans. Hold on. Now let's look up the history of Moroccans. Let's look up the history of Morocco. You see, let's verify, let's validate or invalidate what he's saying. Look it up for yourself. As I always say, don't believe what I'm saying. Don't believe what Noble Drali said. Look it up for yourself. And I did that. You can go right now. Just hit Wikipedia. Make it real simple. Put in Morocco. Click that. Boop. And then you'll see. Well, let's think about the name. Because I looked it up. I wrote a little note. And it said the name Morocco, that's English. It comes from Marrakesh or Marrakesh. And that is, quote unquote, disputed, but it's said to be, to mean the land of God. Okay. Now, maybe to me that just seems like a very interesting coincidence. We're going to keep it pushing, something a little more interesting. Went to the history of Morocco. If you go to that little history section, boop, 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 history of Morocco, and I wrote it down. My little note. The present-day Morocco has been inhabited since sometime between 190,000 and 90,000 BC. Now, see, as black people, we seem to only go back to slavery, 400 years. When we learn our nationality is Moorish American, we look up the history of Morocco, we find there's been people there. Well, hold on, I got another note. Let me read this first. Homo sapien fossils were found roughly 315,000 years before present. International Weekly Journal of Science. Science, mind you. So, cause those black Negroes, coloreds, they lock us into this slavery mentality, 400 years, blah, 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 blah. We go on over here to the nationality side of the game, the Moorish American side of the game. We have, this is not my words, it's not Noble Dryly. We have evidence that there was people in that land 315,000 years ago. Now, see, I didn't even get into any of the history of actual Moors, you know, Tarik, the Rock of Gibraltar, you know, Cordoba. I didn't get into none of that. I just touched on a couple sentences. I want you to do more studying. I want you to look up the information so that you can really understand and know thyself, know who we are. Because we is amazing, man. Noble Drew Ali really was and is a prophet. And he came to drop them jewels like, you know what I mean? Like, you feel me? Do some more studying, man. These questions and answers, they may seem very small, but when you start unpacking it, boy, I tell you what, man. Noble Drew Ali. Study, study, study. That's the name of the game. Much love to you. Our nationality, once again, if you're a black, so-called black, Negro, color, African American, black American, a nigga, you're Moorish American. And why? Descendants of Moroccans and born in America. Yes, indeed. Much love. Peace.
They also, when they tell you the founding of this country, they tell you about Jamestown. And you think that the country was founded with the British in Jamestown, but we know that the conquistadores, the Spanish, were here before the British. And they established St. Helena in South Carolina, 1566. And it was overrun by the British. And records are now showing that there were hundreds of these Muslim Moriscos who were living in St. Helena, and instead of submitting to the British, they went into the interior and they mixed with the native people, all in the Carolina areas, intermarried with the people, and they settled into the interior. In 1586, the English pirate, Sir Francis Drake, commanded 30 English ships, and they made a daring raid on Brazil, and they liberated 400 Portuguese and Spanish prisoners. Amongst them is reported that 300 or more were Muslims, Moriscos. Francis Drake carried his ships to America, and history also tells us that 200 of these people were left on the shore, and the British citizens who wanted to return, they were tired of America, they wanted to return, they went with Francis Drake, and these people landed in America, went up into the mountains, and they met the other ones. These Moriscos they are called Melungeons. And they met this other group, and they settled, and they intermingled with the native populations living in the Carolinas, living in Georgia, all in the interior area. And they called themselves Portuguese. anytime you see them, they will call themselves Portuguese. We used to say Geechee. So if you have, you're Afro-American, part of my family, maybe many people, you have somebody in the family say, you're light-skinned Geechee. Okay, it's like this is a group of people that was known, that's known in America.
Hey, them silly niggas gon' follow. Chain so big, kid. Getting Geechee on them, straight Geechee on them. Let's keep it G, nobody see you when you being humble. I'm getting Geechee on them, straight Geechee on them. Let's keep it G, nobody see you when you being humble. I kick my feet up, DMV up. This shit was for a ticket.
Especially in the South, they're known. But where did they come from? A startling research just done within the last few years by Brent Kennedy, who was one of these Melungeons. He found out he had this disease, sarcoidosis, a terrible disease. And when he checked out this disease, he found out that the only people who have this disease are the people who live along the Mediterranean. The Spanish, the Portuguese, Sicilians, Moroccans, Libyans, Turkish. These are the people who have this disease. And they checked it genetically to these groups. And so when he checked out history more, and he was given a grant to check out history, he found out that in the mid-1600s, there were people living amongst the Powhatans and related tribes of Eastern Virginia and North Carolina who were described as dark like Indians, but called Portuguese. The similar people in South Carolina called themselves Turks. The early 17th century Powhatan Indian description of heaven is nearly word for word like the description found in the Quran itself. In 1784, Tennessee Governor John Sevier records an encounter with people in the western North Carolina with dark skin, reddish-brown complexions. They were supposed to be of Moorish descent, he said, of Moorish descent. In eastern Tennessee in the late 1700s, Jonathan Swift, an Englishman, married a Melungeon woman and utilized Melungeon men in his own silver mining operation, and his dark-skinned companions were known as Mecca Indians. And when they described these people, they said these people were really good with silver crafts. They were crafts, and this is what coming out of Spain. The Muslims were the crafts artisans. They were really good artisans, and they said they used to fall down in prayer on the ground a number of times during the day facing east. This is in America. And Qurans have been found, information has been found. It's being unearthed to show the presence of these people. And so, to come to a conclusion, what is now coming to the surface is that anybody coming from the southeastern part of the United States, whether you consider yourself white, black, Portuguese, Geechee, mixed, Indian, whatever you think you are, that if your last name, there's a lot of names, but the most famous ones, if your last name is Adams, Adkins, Bell, Bennett, Berry, Bowling, Chavis, Coleman, Collins, Gibson, Goins, Hall, Jackson, Lopez, Moore, Mullins, Nash, Robinson, Sexton, and Williams. If you have any one of those names, then more than likely you're a Melungeon. This is crucial information. This is white Americans too. So what that means is that these people are tied into Muslims, that in their background are Morescos, Melungeons coming out of Spain, hiding their identity and becoming part of America. And proof has come to us that Nancy Hanks, the mother of Abraham Lincoln, President of the United States, was a Melungeon. That is definite. And so you may be saying the President of the United States was a Muslim, or you got a Muslim family. Abraham Lincoln. This is critical information, which is now being put together and coming to the light.
I'm just going to, these are the words, Abraham Lincoln's words as a lawyer. All right? You know, because you'll get a chance to read this. As a matter of fact, have your sons take you and you read it. Abraham Lincoln further undermined Joseph Spencer, that's the man who was being sued, by using humor to persuade the jury that there was reasonable doubt regarding William Dungy's race. The attorney, Lawrence Weldon, recalled Abraham Lincoln's statement, and this is Abraham Lincoln's statement. My client is not a Negro, though it may be a crime to be a Negro. No crime to be born with a black skin, but my client is not a Negro. His skin may not be as white as ours, but I say he is not a Negro, though he may be a Moor. Now, and that's now keep in mind one of Spencer's lawyers was named Moore, and that's Abraham Lincoln. And then the judge intervened. Mr. Lincoln, interrupted Judge Davis, scarcely able to restrain a smile. You mean a Moor, M-O-O-R, not M-O-R-E, which is the attorney, right? And
he said, "Come on to the."
All right, and then he says, "Well, Your Honor, Moore, M-O-O-R, not Clifton H. Moore, M-O-O-R-E." We part Mr. Lincoln with a sweep of his arm towards the table. I say my client may be a Moor, but he's not a Negro, and he won the case. So as you can see, it's not a new argument. It has nothing to do with belief.
Exactly.